Hi there, and welcome to the Call to Cinema. We're here tonight in my movie study, and as opposed to the movie library, which is downstairs because it's colder, and I'm washing my hoodies so I can do that and wear those. But tonight we are talking Hammer's The Ultimate Collection from Millcreek Entertainment. This is a massive set. I wanted to take the time to do this review right. I also guested on a podcast recently, which is Cobwebs, pretty much the ultimate gothic horror podcast, where we deep dive into this set. And my good friend Daniel, that runs the Cobwebs podcast, actually did a ranking of his films on this set from 20 all the way up to number one. So I'm going to dive a bit into this one here, let you guys know what I think of it, and it's going to come as no big surprise as a Hammer fan that this really made me happy. When I heard this was announced, I got super excited, and I saw the artwork, and just want to make sure you guys can see that because it is gorgeous. I love the artwork on this one here. There are 20 films on here. We will go over all the films. Aside from the 20 films, there is also I love the artwork because it's different on the inside, and I really like this kind of artwork. It's kind of an old school, kind of like what you'd see on on a poster on a marquee type of thing. If a bunch of Hammer films were playing in a theater, say they were doing a Hammer marathon back in the day in the 70s, I can actually see this here being the style of artwork that they would have used. There is a really cool little write up by C. Courtney Joyner on the back of this one here, the Beyond Gothic. As we can see, we got Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, and Oliver Reed, three of kind of the ultimate Hammer stars in there. And there's also a booklet that comes with the release, which is this right here, which we'll look into first actually, because the best way to know what's on this is to look at the booklet. Then I'll show you the discs on here, how they're situated, how many are on each disc, how many discs there are, and we'll go over the features, and then we'll talk about the movies. I'll tell you what some of my favorite films in the set are, and what I think. First off, the booklet is gorgeous. I expected pretty much just a regular kind of simple write up with the title of the film and maybe a little description and whatever and who was in it. But they went the extra mile, and they gave us posters for that. So we get the Revenge of Frankenstein, the Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. Over here you can see we got These Are the Damned, a big Oliver Reed right there. The Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll. The Old Dark House, which is actually a William Castle film too. So the rare time when William Castle and Hammer get the crossover. The Gorgon, there's a classic. Cash on Demand. The Snorkel. Maniac with Corinne Matthews. Die Die My Darling. Don't worry, I'm going to talk about these again in a second. I just want to go through this here first. I gotta make sure I can say this right. Stop Me Before I Kill. Perfect. I think Don't Take Candy from a Stranger, right? Never Take Candy from a Stranger. Scream of Fear with Susan Strasberg. Stranglers of Bombay. Tear of the Tongues. Parts of Blood River. Sword of Sherwood Forest. The Camp on Blood Island. Yesterday's Enemy. And Creatures the World Forgot. Now, what you're going to notice right away is when a lot of people say Hammer, what they initially think of is the Hammer gothic horror. What they've done here is they've given you some gothic horror. They give you some of the Hammer adventure titles. We got Hammer kind of thrillers here. A little bit of the sci-fi aspect of here as well. But it's a really well done set. I can honestly say that the presentation on these are incredible. So you're going to get really good picture when it comes to the set. So the first disc, for instance, has the Curse of Frankenstein and Revenge of Frankenstein and Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. Now, for those two films, I really like both of those films. I particularly like the Revenge of Frankenstein. Now, one thing I'm going to say right out of the bat is Revenge of Frankenstein was one of those films that was kind of lower on my list as a Frankenstein sequel, with my favorite being Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed. After watching this, I have to say it's risen high on my list. It's almost right up there with Frankenstein Speed of Stride. It's like kind of my favorite sequel. And a lot of that has to do with the actors in the film. It is so well done. And another thing on the Revenge of Frankenstein is there is a commentary. And the commentary on Revenge of Frankenstein is done by Constance Nassar and Stephen Haberman. And you know what? It's really freaking good. So watch the film first if you haven't seen it, but definitely go back and listen to the commentary because it adds a lot of enjoyment to the picture. And I really, really enjoyed the commentary on this one. I actually listened to it twice. The next up is Curse of Mummy's Tomb. It's a cool little film, and it's one that has a featurette on the last disc, actually a retrospective on the Curse of Mummy's Tomb, which actually is really interesting to look into. So there's a couple films on here that did retrospectives of as well, because there are some featurettes that I'll mention when they become like relevant. But I had a lot of fun with this one. Fred Clark is in this one. He did like kind of a more bombastic type character like Fred Clark does, and kind of a more what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, more of a carnival barker, like almost comedy relief type thing. But it works really well, and I like the twist. Although a lot of people say the twist is kind of telegraphed, I enjoyed it, and I like the way that they went with it. Next up is These Are the Damned. And These Are the Damned, of course, is a favorite of mine. It stars MacDonald Carey, who starred in my favorite Hitchcock film, which is, of course, Shadow of a Doubt. And we got Oliver Reed, who pretty much steals the show. This is a movie that has kind of whiplash syndrome, and I mean this in the best possible way, in that we get this movie that starts out completely different than it turns out. Like in the third act, this movie completely changes, and for me, it was a good thing. But for some people, they're going to be like, oh, I want to see more like the previous. But it is a fantastic film to watch. And for some people, this is going to be a discovery, one that I think you're all going to really like. Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll. Now, this is one that got a lot of flack back in the day. This one also this is the second film that has a featurette on here, because there's a retrospective of the Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll as well. Now, listen to this Cobwebs podcast, but I can say that this is a favorite of both me and Daniel, but it's one that I think needs to be rediscovered. And I think that the retrospective on here is actually going to help people rediscover the film. Back in the day, there was a lot of dark characters in the Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll. Now, back then, you really probably couldn't do a film as easily with a film with really more gray characters as opposed to like some kind of black and white characters, as in the good and evil. But I think now it's you can start to look at it and see exactly what was done, and it's pretty cool. So there are three on the third disc, and we get The Old Dark House from William Castle, starring Tom Poston. It's a remake of the earlier Todd Browning film. I liked it. It's really fun. It's a funny film. It's very cheesy. It is Tom Poston. Tom Poston, of course, is much beloved for like his television roles, whether it be on Mork and Mindy or the series Newhart. We played George. He was more of a TV guy. So it was nice to see him work. He worked with William Castle on a movie called Zotz as well. I actually like The Old Dark House, and there's this like kind of like these twin brothers character that I really like in this one, and it's a fun little one. Cash on Demand is probably one of the greatest films on this set. It's a Peter Cushing thriller, and it's very much I won't say it's like Silent Partner, but it does like share some things. You can definitely watch Silent Partner, the Elliot Gould, Christopher Plummer film, as a double feature with this one. Basically, you've got a guy that works at a bank. He's really stern, really strict. He's a by the numbers guy. He's a bean counter, and this guy comes in to bring in some money. And when he gets him alone, he tells him, "I've got your my associates have your family, and unless you help me pretty much rob your bank, we're going to kill them." The movie starts going from there. It's very tense, very well done, extremely well constructed, and probably one of the best movies in this entire set. We followed it up with The Gorgon, which is probably one of the best monster movies that Hammer ever did. Like, this was one that wasn't franchised, it was a one and done type of deal. I like the effects in The Gorgon. It actually kind of creeped me out a bit back in the day. And of course, Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee are in The Gorgon, so I like that as well. I just love these old school Hammer films. And if you've never gone into this stuff before, it's definitely a set to get. If you're like somebody that's been collecting Hammer for a long time, and maybe you picked up a lot of the Scream Factory stuff over the last year. Again, none of that is crossed over here, so again, this is still a great set to get. And my dad, who collects Hammer and has been collecting for years, he picked up this set actually and is actually watching it tonight because he had just arrived. The next one up is the Snorkel and Maniac. That's a double feature for here, and these are kind of like the thrillers. Now, get this. The Snorkel has probably the worst title that you can imagine for any Hammer film. But you know what? It's actually really good. It's kind of got a bit of like a Stepfather crossover with I Saw What You Did put into it. And basically, there's a killer. There's a character in the film that knows that the killer killed someone, but she can't prove it. And it's a kind of a cat and mouse thing. They kind of started out in a Columbo-ish way, where basically we get to see the killer getting away with what he does, and then it's like, is the killer going to get caught? How is he going to get caught? Is the girl going to be in danger? What's going to happen? It's a really great one. A lot of people will like steer away from the Snorkel initially because of the title. That's a mistake. I think it's one of the ones you should probably watch first. Next up is a Maniac, and it stars Curran Matthews. Curran Matthews is a guy that I extremely like as an actor. He's incredible. He's my favorite Sinbad, and I just adore this film. He's, of course, who's in those what are they called again? The OSS films. He was in the first two of those, but this is a really neat film. It's suspenseful, and it's against another one of their thriller types. There's a lot of twists and turns in it. And just when you think you know where it's going, then it runs and it swerves and goes in a different direction. None of them seems outlandish or put in just for a swerve. This isn't a Vince Russo type of thing for the wrestling people that are watching this. These actually make sense, and it's really well done. Great ending, right up to right up to the ending is fantastic. Next two here are Die Die My Darling and Stop Me Before I Kill. I love Die Die My Darling. It's got Tallulah Bankhead in a role that is incredibly brutal. She is incredibly cruel, mean, nasty, villainous character that you really want to see what the heck's going to happen to her. You get a little role by Donald Sutherland in her as well. It stars Stephanie Powers from Heart to Heart fame, and if you're older than the girl from Uncle. But I think you're going to enjoy Die Die My Darling. Just get ready for a nasty character that you're really going to love to hate. Tallulah Bankhead kills it in this role. Stop Me Before I Kill is a fun little one. It was called The Full Treatment over in the UK. As far as the thriller goes, it's fun. It's probably the lesser of the thrillers, but still, definitely don't pass it up. It's kind of a damning indictment on on psychotherapy though. But it's pretty much a guy that gets into an accident, and then he finds that he has the urge, does he, to kill his wife. So, and how does that work out? Well, you got to watch the movie and find out. The next two are Never Take Candy from a Stranger and Scream of Fear. Now, as I said, Stop Me Before I Kill is kind of one of the lesser ones, but still a fun film. This disc here, this is going to be one of your favorite discs because Never Take Candy from a Stranger is a really good film. It draws you in from the very first second, and it keeps you there the entire way. Now, trigger warning. Never Take Candy from a Stranger does deal with pedophilia. We have a character that is basically these people that have come new to this town. Something really bad happens to their daughter, and it's happens from with someone who seems to be like high up in the town, kind of the untouchable type character. And seeing how it goes from there, it just is an incredible thrill ride. It runs at 82 minutes. So again, it's none of these films are really like super long. Stop Me Before We Kill is 108. It's one of the longer films on the disc. So, but on the set, Never Take Candy from a Stranger is just a really good film, and I do recommend that you check it out. Scream of Fear is my personal favorite thriller that they did. 82 minutes long. Susan Strasberg. It's definitely more pretty much like a Gaslight style film, and I think you're going to be really enjoy it when you as you get into it. I would really like to know what people think of these two films, Never Take Candy from a Stranger and Scream of Fear, because they are two of my favorites. Now we're going to go into a totally different direction and go into some of their adventure titles. So first off, we've got here the Stranglers of Bombay and the Terror of the Tongs, which is our two of their adventure titles. Roger Delgado was in Stranglers of Bombay, which actually I really like. He played the Master in Doctor Who. Terror of the Tongs is really cool as well. The hero's a bit stiff, but I actually like him. I like both these films. I love adventure films. And again, like some of the stuff may have aged a little bit badly when it comes to, who the villain is. But because it's Christopher Lee in a kind of a Fu Manchu type role in Terror of the Tongs. But I think he pulls off extremely well, and it's really good. I really enjoyed both these films. And if there's anything that you found like iffy about those two, that's all washed away in the next disc, which is the parts of Blood River and Sword of Sherwood Forest. Swashbuckling films are my thing. I grew up like playing like Captain Blood when I was a kid and like watching Errol Flynn films. And if you like that type of stuff and you like want to watch some films you can enjoy with your family, the Sword of Sherwood Forest and parts of Blood River are definitely those type of films that I really enjoyed both of them. Next up, we get some more serious stuff and with some war stuff, but two very, very different war films. We get the Camp on Blood Island, which is a more of a almost a Bridge on the River Kwai style war film, but in a more exploitive, I say, sort of way, the Hammer way. It actually has Andre Morel from Bridge on the River Kwai as well, so that's always like a plus. I want to make sure that I'm right, but I'm pretty sure I am because I watched that one last night. Yeah, so, and again, we got on the next one is Yesterday's Enemy, which is a very, very different film. Yesterday's Enemy is a very serious, brutal, harsh war film that shows both sides of the coin. And you didn't get to see that very often, especially back then. So it was a very risky, very different thing to do. And I really, really enjoyed Yesterday's Enemy. Same thing, Yesterday's Enemy is in the top 5 for me of films that are on this one here. Next up is one that some people are iffy on, but I'll be honest with you, I love this type of stuff. And that is Creatures That the World Forgot. I want to get the cast right on this one here. What's her name again? Julie Eggy? I'm probably like totally pronouncing that wrong. But it's again one of their caveman films that they did. Like A Million Years BC, stuff like that. I enjoy this one. It's not one of their more well known or well lauded films when it comes to this type, to their dinosaur type films or caveman films, but it's fun and it runs around 96 minutes, which isn't too bad. So it clicks along fairly well. I know some people that actually were not big fans of this one at all, but I did enjoy it. Now the bonus features are also on this disc as well. So we got the Hammer at Columbia Pictures, which is done by C. Courtney Joyner. It's really interesting. Now these featurettes run fairly short, anywhere between I think 10 to 12 minutes, 8-9 minutes, that type of thing. But it's definitely a case of giving you leaving you wanting more, but not in a bad way, not having you feel that you didn't get the full story, but pretty much giving you okay, this is what you need to know. C. Courtney Joyner really talks about the Hammer and their Columbia Pictures deal. He goes in depth on it. He talks about what the deal was, what it outlined, how it got started in the first place, how Revenge of Frankenstein was originally offered to somebody else, to another studio, which mistakenly made a huge mistake and turned it down. So that's a really interesting one. They followed up with the actors of Hammer, which again is really, really fun to check out. They talk about some of the different actors in some of the Hammer films, and then they followed it up the Curse of the Mummy's Tomb retrospective and the Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll retrospective, which I mentioned earlier. Both of those I think are going to make you appreciate both of those films a lot more. There are 6 audio commentaries on this set here. We've got The Revenge of Frankenstein with Konstantin Nazir and Steve Haberman. We got The Old Dark House having commentary with the Monster Party podcast with James Gonis, Sean Sheridan, Larry Stroth, and Matt Weinhild. We have the Gorgon commentary with Joshua Kendi from House of Gorgon, which is really good actually. The Snorkel commentary again with writer producer Fief Sutton with Mark Jordan Legan, and of course, C. Courtney Johnner, who is always an interesting person to listen to on a commentary. Never Take Candy from a Stranger, we get Constant Sincere, which you get another fantastic one, and Scream of Fear, we get Steve Haberman. So that's 6 commentaries over this 20 disc set. It's just actually is pretty good. Now, I will say some of these do cross over into the Indicator stuff. I do have a lot of the Indicator films, but there are a few films here that are not on the Indicator sets. So also the commentaries, I'm pretty sure, are ones that are that weren't taken over from the other sets. This is actually commentaries for the on this here specific set. Check to make sure. But I really enjoy it. This actually goes for a pretty good price too. I've noticed that like I think the MSRP is like 100 somewhere around there. But I've seen it going for like $50, $50, $60. And when you break it down, it's like this is like a 20 film set, Blu-ray. Some of these films, like in North America, it's been the first time on Blu-ray. And I know that my dad, who's collected a lot of these films over the years on DVD, it's the first time that he's been able to see them on Blu-ray. And from what I've heard so far, he's been extremely happy about what he's got. So there you go. This is the Ultimate Hammer Collection 20 film set from Millcreek Entertainment. Would I recommend it? I would 110% recommend that you check this out. If you're a longtime Hammer fan, definitely grab this up. If you are a new person coming into collecting Hammer, grab this up and grab some of the other Hammer releases that are out there as well to go along with this. Maybe get a Gothic one to go with this, so you get like a full, like you get all your Gothic stuff, and you get this as well. So you're getting like the adventure, you're getting the sci-fi, you're getting the Gothic, you're getting the thrillers, you're getting the caveman stuff. It is a great eclectic set. This was listed in my video for best sets of 2020. So this was on the list of for that one and the Rita Hayworth set. Both made it to my best of 2020 releases. Ultimate Collection Hammer films. Like I always say, I don't give a like an out of 10 review, like an 8 or 9 out of 10 or anything like that. I just pretty much say my thoughts on the films and the set, and whether it is cult cinema approved. If you're new here, then we have basically the Cult of Cinema has an approval level that you have to meet to be a Cult of Cinema approved title on the channel. And the Ultimate Collection Hammer Films 20 film set is 110% definitely Cult of Cinema approved. I'm gonna bring it back here so you guys can see it again. As you can see, that's from Maniac. Kerr Matthews. You can see all 20 films are listed on the back with the actors and the runtime. They come from this from 1958 all the way up to 1970. So it's really it really goes over the entire Columbia years for Hammer. I think there was 37, 39 Columbia films made altogether. Some of them were leaned more towards, I guess, a lot of more like British humor. And Columbia at one point were like, we want a Hammer horror type film, and we don't want just something that's just gonna play over in Britain. We want something that's gonna play worldwide. And I think that's around the time that they gave him the Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll, which was done in where I'm finding it for you now in 1960. Aspect ratio wise, they're all in the correct aspect ratios. Everything is here from 166 to 235 to 185. So always good to know that as well. So we got them in the correct aspect ratios. Great transfers on here. Excellent commentaries, every one of them. And amazing featurettes. And a fantastic little booklet that forgoes just the way the normal booklets are done, and gives you kind of these little mini posters that I was enamored by. So there you go. Ultimate Collection Hammer Films 20 film set, Cult of Cinema approved. Have a great night. I will see you soon right here in the Cult of Cinema.